that if they can censor and deplatform the President of the United States, they can censor and deplatform you, my fellow pleb. Rumble did not do that. We've got the CEO coming up on here next. This is going to be a great panel. It's moderated by Viva Frei. Viva is a legal analyst, a political commentator, probably labeled as a far-right extremist by those who don't like hearing the truth. Let's welcome Viva to the stage, give him a warm welcome, and let's get going.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, although it's morning in the East Coast. I'm David Frei. My internet name is, well, stay up for a bit, is Viva Frei. Former litigator turned current Rumbler, and I'm working out of Florida. I've known Chris now, I think it's been close to 10 years, give or take, and we were reminiscing earlier about the first video that I put up on Rumble 10 years ago. And it's amazing to see what Rumble has, where it's come from and where it's going, and we're going to hear more about that today. So I've got to introduce, I think it's from left to right, correct? Ivan is the CEO of MoonPay, which we're going to explain the integration of MoonPay into Rumble in a bit. Then we've got Paolo, who is the CEO of Tether, and we're also going to explain the partnership between Tether and Rumble. Paolo?
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. And we got Chris Pavlovski, the CEO of Rumble, who's going to explain the Marvel reunion of the heroes of this story. And we're going to get it going. Gentlemen, this is going to be amazing. And I think, okay, everybody here may or may not be totally familiar with who you guys are. Presume they are, but just in case they don't, Chris, explain what I'm calling the hero's arc of the evolution of Rumble from what it was to what it is to where it's going.
Yeah, you've been there from the very beginning. So Viva was on Rumble before it got very popular. I think, what, in like 2015, 2016 it was. But I started Rumble in 2013, and it was based on the premise of trying to help the small creator. What we noticed is all the large incumbent platforms, specifically YouTube, was starting to preference large creators, big influencers, brands, corporations, and they were kind of leaving behind the small creator, you know, our friends, family, aunts, and uncles. So we built the business to try to help the small creator. At the time, Viva was one of those small creators that had a viral video. We brought them onto the platform, and we built a pretty good business then. Then 2020 hit. It was the summer of 2020. I get a call from the ranking member of the U.S. House Intel Committee in Congress of the United States, Congressman Devin Nunes. I thought, as a Canadian, I was under an investigation of some sort. You know, getting a call from a guy like that, you're like, whoa, did I do some kind of censorship? What's going on? But it was actually the opposite. He called me because he noticed when he was typing his name in Google or on YouTube, all he would get was hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. You couldn't even find his own content on any social media platform or any video platform or any search engine. So he calls me and he's like, Chris, if I bring my content to Rumble and I search for my name, am I going to be able to find my content? And I was like, you know, asking the engineers in the back room, hey, when you type Devin Nunes' name, it's gonna be his channel, right? And of course, it would be. So he comes to the platform. Within 2 to 3 months, he gets 200,000 to 300,000 subscribers on Rumble. Whereas for 4 years on YouTube, from 2016 when he started on YouTube, and having road signs in his congressional district advertising his channel and pushing it across all of his social media with millions of followers, he only accumulated 10,000 subscribers. So from 10,000 in 4 years to hundreds of thousands on Rumble in 2 to 3 months. Something crazy was going on, for sure. I remember getting our engineers to take a look, like, hey, is this like real? Like, are these real users? And he's like, yeah, they were. And that was like the beginning of Rumble's rise in late 2020. Obviously, subsequent to that, we had the President of the United States come onto our platform in 2021. We were the only platform in the world that hosted President Trump's rallies throughout 2021 and all the way till today. And then subsequent to that, we went public in 2022 on the NASDAQ under ticker RUM at a multi-billion-dollar valuation. And now it brings us to where we are today. This year, obviously, a very big moment happened when we had Paolo and Tether invest in Rumble and take a big stake to the tune of, was it $775 million. So, now the future lays in front of us. Free speech has always been our cornerstone. It's something that I hold very dearly. It's obviously been in our ethos since 2013. We noticed there was some type of censorship happening to the small creator. It grew to the large creators. It grew to political people. And it grew across the entire political spectrum and around the world. And it's something that we've been fighting since day one. So that's kind of the history of Rumble and where we are today.
It's amazing, and I've been saying it for a while, that Rumble, people think of it as social media, and I think of it more as an actual network where creators can't get canceled as easily as they can, or algorithmically suppressed as they do on other platforms, which kind of leads us into, also go with Paolo, the not nominal investment of $775 million into the company, presumably because you saw something that's more than video hosting. And so you're CEO of Tether, world's largest stablecoin, which creates financial autonomy and uncancelability from the economic perspective. What did you see in Rumble that made you want to make that investment?
Yeah, so definitely was not a small amount, but I think it's very important for Tether to support projects that push forward freedom of speech. Bitcoin, USDT, our company has been always in favor and working to bring financial freedom across the world. We started from emerging markets, developing countries. USDT is allowing people that are being left behind by the financial system, by the traditional financial system, to have a checking account. Bitcoin is allowing people that don't have a bank account to have a savings account or to have full financial freedom. Bitcoin is the most perfect currency that humanity will ever have. And so, we have been always working on the financial aspect of freedom, but we also realize that if you only have financial freedom and you don't have freedom of speech, you are not actually free. In order to be fully free, you need to have both of them together. So that's why when we have looked ourselves around, there was Twitter, then formerly Twitter, and then X. Still today there is a lot of rumor about people get demoted in terms of ranking, uncertainty on your ability to reach your community, and seems like the rules for which you can get your account shadow banned or banned entirely are very unclear. So in a certain way, we wanted to have to support a company that actually had more clear rules. The thing that I like the most about Chris and Rumble is the fact that they decided to shut down an entire country like France or Brazil and not ban creators. So they were put in front of a decision from certain countries. Either you ban certain creators and you remove the voice from them, or we are going to remove you from the stores, we are going to obscure your website. And he preferred to not comply and said, no, I will not do that. So I care more about the freedom of speech aspect rather than trying to open a market. And usually it's very rare for companies to have the balls to do that, because usually they prefer, and they are also a public company, right? So you have analysts every 3 months asking you, oh, why you're not making a dime more? Maybe you should have canceled that guy in order to have 60 million French people to have access to Rumble content. But I think that is a slippery slope. The first time you do it, it's kind of, sorry for the term, but if you lose your virginity in that sense, if you start banning people, then you'll end up in a fully censored state that I think is going to bring society into doom.
Well, it's a good point. For those who don't know, I think it was 2022, Rumble gets a letter from some administrative body in France saying you got to censor these accounts X, Y, and Z. Chris says no, and we're just not going to offer Rumble in France, which caused some issues. We have a number of followers in France who said they had to get VPNs in order to watch the show, and then just recently got a court victory where they declared that email was of no authority to dictate content on the platform.
Yeah, so we actually won in France. It was our first major victory, I guess, in a country on that scale where we were shut down to now win. And the whole situation is ironic because they accused us of having content that didn't violate our policies. It just violated their propaganda or whatever propaganda it may have been, whether one side or the other. That's not for me to decide. But like the other country that they were accusing of putting propaganda on Rumble then goes and bans Rumble as well. So it was Russia, and we got banned both in France and then Russia. And meanwhile, like we had to shut down in France because apparently we were defending the Russians, but the Russians didn't like us either. So it's kind of ironic when you look at it. But ultimately, it was really amazing to see, especially in a European nation, that we were able to have a victory over here and get back live in France. Now we're still dealing with issues in Brazil, and we're challenging them in courts. But the whole idea is we're not going to stop fighting for free speech. Like no other platform out there, not X, not anyone that I know took the decision that we made when it came to both Brazil and France. They all ultimately complied. They kicked and screamed, but they all complied. We didn't comply. We fought, and we fought in court, and we won in court. So it's obviously a small little victory for us, but there's a lot more ahead of us. It's not getting any easier, I'll tell you that.
It's amazing. Now we're going to get into the integration of the three elements here. Ivan, so CEO of MoonPay, I now know what that, I mean, I know what it is, and we'll explain it as the on-ramp and the off-ramp of the digital currency to fiat currency or to the cashing out of. What role, explain the company what the integration now is with Rumble, and then we're going to work it into the stablecoin US dollar stuff.
Well, thanks for having me here. It's great to be in Lugano, and I love this city's embrace of this technology, and I think this is a very important time in history. And I think when I think about Rumble, really a visionary leader here, thinking about the future of freedom of speech. And when I came into crypto, I really believed in this idea of freedom over your money. So when we started MoonPay, we really saw the wallet as being this foundational technology. Essentially, anyone with an internet connection can spin up a wallet anywhere in the world and can receive value over blockchains. And so when I started playing with these wallets, one of the things I realized was the user experience. It was very challenging for what they call a normie, quote unquote. So I said, we got to make this really simple. How do we put a buy button directly inside the wallet? So, because before MoonPay existed, you had to go to a traditional crypto exchange, buy your crypto on the spot market, then withdraw it to a wallet. And I said, that doesn't make any sense. You're going to want just an embedded technology layer directly inside your wallet. And so we built that. We focused on building the very best buy experience directly inside of a wallet. And today, MoonPay is in 160 countries. We have 35 million people that have used the platform. We power some of the leading wallets in the world, and we're really proud to partner with Rumble to take this technology to life and to enable creators all over the world to start getting their first taste of the experience of being in control of their own money, in control of their own wallet, in control of their own Bitcoin, and then control of their own checking account in the form of Tether.
It's amazing, and I think,
well, I want to add something here. So I guess this morning, you're the very first creator on Rumble, and I guess for any large platform out there to receive a tip and test the wallet platform, the Rumble wallet, I guess bright and early Lugano time this
8
morning.
o'clock Lugano time, which still feels like, 2 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, the first transaction on Rumble wallet of receiving a tip and seeing how it works, and it's actually totally amazing, and will open up revenue generation from the content creator from everyone who's already in crypto, which is, I was going to ask you about the innovations that's going on in Rumble now, but we're on it. So it's fully integrated now. It's going to be ready, open up sooner than later?
Yeah, so obviously right now we're in the testing phase, and you're the first person to start testing it, and I think you received a few tips this morning, and we're going to start rolling that out alongside Tether here in the coming weeks, and more broadly release that in the coming, I guess, how long would you say we got till it's going to be fully released?
I would say that mid-December, early to mid-December should be our time frame to have all the small bugs and the user experience finessing done. I think it's very important when the huge campaign will go out, everything is perfect, and the back end and all the tires are being checked so they can scale to. Rumble has 51 million active users per month, so it potentially this is one of the the biggest user bases that would start adopting Bitcoin and stable coins in this history of humanity. I mean, this exercise of creating a creator economy around tens of millions of users through like a mainstream digital platform is very unique, right? It's like, imagine like YouTube supporting, they will never do that because, of course, they need to be able to censor and people and have control over their speech. But, point is like, this is the first, there is such a unique opportunity to showcase to the world how this can be done, and they can actually be done and can be done successfully and at a large scale, and that Bitcoin and stablecoins can serve not only a part of the population that is very dear to Tether, that is the emerging markets population, but also in the primary economy like the United States, you can actually find use cases for Bitcoin and stablecoins that really are going to empower creators. They will bring them the security of the fact that they will not be debanked for what they say. Like we talked about France, and unfortunately, Europe is kind of going into this censorship spree. If you say the wrong thing, you get either you go to jail, or like they're moving the needle on what they consider free speech versus hate speech, and it's a very risky path. But on top of that, Europe is going to launch very soon the digital euro, that is their CBDC. And the thing that I fear the most about the digital euro is that, imagine if the government, that is the one that is going to be in control of what you can say, what you cannot say, will also be controlling your money. So not only you get cancelled and potentially you go to jail, but also can freeze your money for what you are saying. So that is the biggest risk to freedom that I see coming from Europe, that was supposed to be the cradle of liberty and democracy and all that. So the fact that we are building that infrastructure for Rumble is going to create at least a shield for creators that are on Rumble to make sure that they can keep saying what they want to say, and their money will keep flowing to them independently.
Well, I guess the question or the concern that a lot of people have is the on-ramp and the off-ramp works to the extent that, like you say, the banks haven't sanctioned you, or the banks haven't frozen your accounts. What are the protection mechanisms, or what are the alternative routes, hypothetically, from on-ing and off-ramping digital currency if a bank freezes your bank accounts and says, go bank elsewhere?
So we think about this a lot, and one of the biggest barriers to crypto adoption was the legacy banking system. When I started the business, one of the most frustrating aspects was a lot of banks would just decline transactions related to MoonPay. Over time, we've worked very carefully with regulators all around the world to be able to offer direct access to these rails, but we're constantly expanding new payment methods. We think it's also really important that we cover every single payment method across the world. So a lot of the work that we're doing is localizing the experience with different payment methods across different geographies. But ultimately, one of the most powerful things I think what Rumble is doing in this platform is any creator on the platform can get settled instantly in a stable coin. All they need is access to the internet. And that in itself is a revolution we've never seen within a creator platform before. So I think this is an industry first. We couldn't be more excited to support this use case. And we think that the real beauty of this is anyone with a crypto wallet can send money directly on this system to any Rumble wallet. And then for users that are coming into crypto for the first time, we reduce that friction to give them a slick Apple Pay, Venmo, debit card, localized payment experience anywhere in the world.
And some people might be asking the off-ramp and on-ramp fees that MoonPay, what's like a rough idea so people can anticipate?
So me and Paolo are working on a special deal to give the very best rate possible. The reality is there is cost related to using the legacy infrastructure. So the reality is we want to make that as cheap as possible. The more that we scale, the cheaper that we can become. But we want to be extremely reasonable. So typically capping those fees. And if you use things like bank transfers, we can do it for free.
I don't know who's going to be best to answer this between Ivan and Paolo, but how do you get the banks out of being the middleman or the gatekeepers of effectively allowing this? They are the gatekeepers as to who could be shut down for saying the wrong thing. How do you cut the banks out entirely?
So I think cutting out the banks entirely, I think it's going to be impossible to some extent in the short term, right? I think over time, we're going to transition to a world where I think more and more businesses will actually receive payroll or payments through things like stablecoins. I think stablecoins are transforming the entire financial system. They're going to essentially be the new form of dollar, and they're going to be embedded everywhere. But I think for now, if you're coming into the experience for the first time, you do have to find a bank that's willing to pull on that bank transfer. And so that's part of the challenge that we sought out to really focus on, because we said, we're going to take a long-term view. We think that over time, some businesses are going to, banks that respect the crypto community and enable customers to use the bank service to come into the crypto economy over the long term, I think will be rewarded. The ones that don't are going to be left behind.
And without naming the ones that don't, are there any banks that anybody should know are particularly better than others or particularly good?
Well, we want to make sure that we can support as many good banks as possible, so we're not going to badmouth any banks.
Now, Paolo, okay, the stablecoin, I presume everybody's going to know as well, but it was a bit of a learning curve for me. Stablecoin is by definition a digital currency that's tethered to a currency, an actual currency. In your case, with Rumble now, it's the US dollar. I was watching a panel earlier where someone was saying, the idea that you don't spend the Bitcoin because that's what increases in value. And everybody must have heard about the guy who bought 2 pizzas for 11,000 Bitcoin back in 2010. And I was just thinking, is there an alternative to that? Is the stablecoin a way of hedging, holding onto the Bitcoin while operating on the basis of real-time currency rates?
So I think the interesting part for me is to have a wallet that is a very simple wallet that everyone can use and allows you to have in your savings account, so because that is what people are used to, right? So we need also in the crypto industry, let's say crypto, we want to make sure that people get, and developers actually build wallets that people outside of the industry, that are the vast majority of the people in the world, like 99% of the people in the world, they don't know what is a stablecoin is, and they still are have difficulties to grasp what Bitcoin is. So I really believe that education is the key to get more and more people on board onto Bitcoin. And for that, I think that if we can recreate what they're being used to for the last 30 years or 40 years, where they had like their online banking with the checking account and the saving account, we need to recreate that. So the idea around having a savings account in Bitcoin and gold, for example, and having a checking account that is in dollars is great, because then you keep the vast majority of your money in Bitcoin. And whenever you need to do something, operate in, let's say, in the world where you cannot spend directly your Bitcoin, you can sell a tiny portion of your Bitcoin that is needed to cover the use case that you are trying to meet with, and for example, the payment that needs to go out. You sell that Bitcoin, you can sell it for USDT, for example, and then you can offer them through MoonPay and send the money somewhere, right? So that's the beauty. I think that what we want is to create a wallet that allows people to be long Bitcoin and or gold and short the dollar, because you see, like, the United States are printing $30 trillion per year for covering the interest rate on the debt, to cover the weaponry and the military budget, and then $1 trillion for the rest, healthcare and so on. So is it $3 trillion? So now it's 37. In 1 year will be $40 trillion. And so it's clear that Bitcoin is not like much Bitcoin going up, is that everything else is going down. As I keep saying, everything is going towards darkness.
It's amazing. All right, so Chris, we're going to flesh this out now so people fully appreciate. Rumble's going to be the first video hosting platform, call it a network, where you're going to be able to transact in currency-based or gold-based currency. Put it in, put it out, transfer it into your wallet. That is probably the biggest innovation that I could imagine with respect to how you can generate revenue and how you can keep and invest with something that's going to appreciate in value. What are the other innovations that are currently ongoing and soon to be released at Rumble?
Yeah, so that is obviously a very big one. You can look at it as like freedom of money, freedom to transact, and that's going to be a big pillar, the finance portion of this business. And the way I kind of look at the business is going to be multiple pillars. So the finance portion is the ability for creators and users to transact in USDT, USAT, Bitcoin, XAUT, which I kind of love XAUT personally. And that is the pillar of finance. So creators, users now start transacting on a large platform in mass in those stable coins and Bitcoin. The other pillars of the business, obviously what you're most familiar with, is the video platform. And the video, you can call it the media side of the business. That's going to include the video platform. It's going to include Rumble Shorts, which will come out hopefully within the next few quarters. That's been a major project for us internally that we've been working on. That includes Rumble Studio, which is it's actually a technology that allows you to stream to multiple platforms for free, which you've used, and allows you to find advertisements in there to go to sponsor your streams at the same time in real time. So that's the media pillar of the business. The third pillar is the advertising pillar, and that's where we have the Rumble Advertising Center, where we just yesterday had over 1 billion ad requests come through the Rumble Advertising Center that advertisers can now bid on across various different properties, not just Rumble, not just Truth, including those, but also on other properties. Anything from Fox to CNN to Samsung, et cetera, is now accessible through the Rumble Advertising Center. So that's the third pillar. The fourth pillar is freedom of infrastructure. It's a cloud. It's a highway that exists on a rails that has the ethos of freedom, and every single pillar is tied to freedom. The overarching business is all about freedom first. Every single thing we do is going to have the ethos of freedom. So there's the freedom highway, the freedom infrastructure side of the business, where we have our own cloud that competes against Google Cloud, Amazon AWS. When AWS went down the other day, Rumble was humming. All our clients were humming. We were unaffected. We are not connected to them in any way that would, in any way whatsoever. We're completely resilient from big tech. And then the future is going to hold multiple different things. And this is something that Paulo and I have talked extensively about over the last 6 months to a year, and is something that we're vigorously looking to build out and put together. But we're thinking of things in AI. We're thinking data centers. We're thinking a productivity suite, which is going to include email, file storage. We're thinking VPNs. We're thinking of an entire ecosystem to challenge big tech. So it's not just it's Rumble and Tether that's backed by basically the ethos of freedom, privacy, resilience, and independence against all the other companies out there, your Googles, your Amazons, that are biased, that are pro-censorship, that only want control, they're completely centralized. So we're looking at it from a completely different perspective, and we think the next 20 years is going to be the era where these freedom products and products backed by freedom and decentralization and independence is going to win. So that's what we're looking at Rumble in the future.
Fantastic. And now this is going to be a question for all three of you, but you've had a change of presidency in the United States. Europe seems to be on a road that is not necessarily, say, consistent or aligned with its historical values. Is it getting easier or harder now to deal with governments and regulators since the Trump presidency? Part of me says it might be getting easier, but then part of me thinks it might be getting worse because of the pushback to the movement coming out of the United States. How has it been?
So we deal with regulators all over the world, and one of the things that we focused on, as I said from the beginning, was access and really providing the best user experience possible depending on the geography in which the customer is located. So we have a lot of experience working with different regulators, and part of what we're seeing is the United States needed to come up with coherent legislation for the crypto economy. We saw the Genius Act get passed. We're now very close to hopefully getting a Clarity Act bill. Very optimistic it gets done. But those were very important cornerstones because the rest of the world looks to the United States. I do think that this is one of those technologies that if you do not embrace, you will be left behind. It's been good and promising to see new regulatory frameworks emerge in different parts of the world that are mirroring what's happening in the United States. So I remain pretty optimistic.
Paulo, I'm thinking of another question. Tether's got 500 million, you mentioned 51 million monthly users of Rumble. Tether's got 500 million users of the stablecoin?
Yes, that's correct.
That is worldwide now. So, in terms of an overlap, what is the overlap between Rumble and Tether, and what's going to be the reciprocal nature of is going to bring people over to Rumble from those who are already using the stablecoins?
I think if you have Venn diagram of the two, there is very little overlapping, because most of these 500 million users have been in all the emerging markets, developing countries, where, although over time, I think that the US dollar will devalue, it's still the best fiat currency in the world. So you have the Argentinian peso, the Brazilian real, all the other, like the Nigerian naira, all the other currencies are devaluating very fast against the US dollar. So I think, USDT, these 500 million users have been the ones that first needed to have access to dollar because they couldn't, and their national currency was way worse than the US dollar. So I would imagine that we will end up in 551 million users, because that is I think that Rumble also will grow its user base very fast in the next few years. But nevertheless, I think there is a huge opportunity, because the US is also the biggest remittances corridor, or source for remittances in the world. So most of the remittances come from the United States and go to Central and South America, like Mexico, or like Africa and Asia as well. So I think there is also an opportunity for Rumble to capture that, and part of the remittances right now are in high single digits already, are happening in USDT, and a little bit in Bitcoin as well. So I think that the Rumble wallet could position itself also within the United States to be the wallet for the people, for the expats that are in the United States, that have families abroad and want to send back money. So I think that there is a different type of user base. So I think the creators economy is great and will continue to grow and will be really a template for everyone else. But at the same time, the Rumble wallet will expand its experience and its support to other use cases within the United States that are very, very fundamental, because really the country is well positioned to be, of course, digital first, but also to serve as a source of income for Philippines and all the other countries that are receiving already today a portion, like Philippines, between the United States and Philippines, the corridor or stablecoin remittances is around 7%, something like that. The corridor between United States and Mexico is, again, high single digits in stablecoins and USDT for remittances. So imagine if Rumble wallet, and I believe that is going to happen, would be the source of that remittances flow, and that is going to be another amazing experience.
Let's say, it'll potentially dwarf the content creator usage of the wallet if it becomes an international form of holding and transferring monies. Yeah. Chris, you said XAUT is your favorite of the three stablecoins. I think I know why, but why do you prefer the gold-backed versus the US dollar?
Well, I think what they do with the gold is phenomenal. Like, I don't know of any other opportunity where you can buy gold and be able to redeem it for a gold bar in a safe or a vault. I guess you have a vault in Switzerland, but XAUT does that, right?
Not your vault and not your gold.
So people need to understand this, because Chris told me this morning. You could physically redeem, literally go to the bank, redeem your XAUT for physical gold that comes out of a vault. The only perk or pitfall is you have to fly over to Switzerland to get it done. Yeah, so we had already a few customers that sent enough tokens back to redeem in order to get a full bar, worked flawlessly, and we ship the bar everywhere in Switzerland. Otherwise, internationally would be, there are two parts, right? There is a super high fees for insurance, and so you can kind of pick it up for wherever in Switzerland. But we had a few tests, and I think it's quite cool, because I think, we started from the USDT, so it's, I'm a Bitcoiner at heart, and so many times people they say, "Oh, why you are doing Tether Gold," right? So, but the reality is that we need to think about the fact that there is a learning curve for everyone to get to Bitcoin, and we started from USDT as a US dollar tokenization that served the emerging markets, and then not everyone is yet ready to understand Bitcoin. I think that it's important that we don't force people into Bitcoin, because the more you force people
towards something, the more they get scared, right? So we need to improve. It's not like we can pretend that people understand complex technology from the get-go. It's our fault if they don't understand, because we should be better in explaining to them. And so but what is clear that people understand dollars, and I think that there is an upgrade to the dollar that is gold, that because it served humanity for the last 5,000 years, and then there is an upgrade to gold that is Bitcoin. So I think it as a staircase to get to the ultimate financial freedom, and that is something that we see clicking very well, because in the last 2 months also you could see gold price ramping up and doing all-time highs every single day, and so the market cap also of Tether Gold doubled because the huge demand in the last 2 months. So I think it's important to put things in context and walk through people through the audience through the reason why we are doing all these things and why we think is important. Is otherwise to fill the gap and bridge the gap between dollar and Bitcoin would be too wide without gold in the mid.
Just to add, if you want to buy a gold ETF like GLD, they're charging like 40 basis points a year for management. XAUT, there's no management fee. So why put your money in a gold ETF when you can buy XAUT?
Banks added inflation to holding gold, because if they charge you 40 basis points every year, 50 basis points every year to keep your gold safe, then you have actual inflation. So you want to have gold actually to beat inflation and to not be subject to inflation. So it's counterproductive to have gold ETFs when you can have physical gold. So that's why it's interesting, right? Tether Gold does not make any money to Tether. The reason why we are doing it is because it's the right thing to do, even if it does not make any money.
Fantastic. I'm not sure how long we can go over timer, but I'll try to push my luck. If I can get at the question of the biggest risks and the biggest opportunities in, say, the short term, here to the next 5 years. What are the biggest risks that the industry faces, and what are the biggest opportunities?
I think we absolutely need to nail the user experience. And so a lot of the work, when I started in this industry, I remember to download and use my first wallet, you actually had to be familiar with the terminal inside of your computer, which I don't think a lot of people are playing with the terminal and actually inputting commands that didn't make any sense. We then saw graphical user interfaces. We've seen incredible innovation on the wallet space, where these wallets got to be better than your bank account. And to get there, they need the full backwards compatibility of the existing financial system. So our mission at MoonPay is full backwards compatibility. You should be able to use any payment method anywhere in the world and have the most frictionless experience to come into the ecosystem, because that's what's going to bring the next billion people into the ecosystem, is how do we make that so seamless, so simple? And so a lot of the work that we've done on our side really has been investing in the developer experience, focusing on enabling the customization that partners like Rumble need to enable to deliver the best experience to the end customer. So I think UX to me is the biggest barrier to crypto adoption, and we're going to fix that.
Paolo?
Biggest stress, I think that the technology is becoming more and more rooted within the fabric of the world. I think that there is no way to stop Bitcoin. We saw that now many times, so I'm not really worried about that. I think the industry also proved that it could survive to a very aggressive administration like the past administration that had Operation Choke Point 2.0, the OCC trying to kill the banks that were banking crypto companies. So I think the thing that I fear the most is us as people, as Bitcoiners. The thing that I fear the most is the risk of the fading ethos of our industry, or the original reason why Bitcoin started in the first place. And so, because now you have, of course, a lot of excitement in the industry is also polluted with a lot of speculation, and so I think I want to see, and hopefully Plan B, this event. I mean, one of the main reasons for having this event is like making sure that we can sit down and talk and chat about freedom and how we can build more use cases for Bitcoin over the next years, and try to maintain what really the sparkle that we had at the beginning, that maybe who is joining now does not understand or does not know about, right? So it's how we can keep narrating that, in 2008 we had a huge financial crisis and banks were blowing up, and it's not that the banking system is super safe now, so things can go worse and can go sideways very fast. And so how we can keep telling the story and making sure that we get not lost in translation and get not be forgotten. The biggest mistakes we did in history were because we keep forgetting every 20, 30, 40 years, we keep forgetting our own history. And so how we don't repeat the mistake is trying to do these conferences that keep teaching the same concept yet over and over again.
Amazing. And Chris, I think we're out of time, but biggest opportunity. We know the risks, and Rumble's seen them now. Biggest opportunity for the next 5 years.
Biggest opportunity. Well, I was going to say, like, the big risk and also the big opportunity is freedom isn't free. It is, like, absolutely not free. We need fearless leaders like Ivan and Paulo, and we need a lot more of them. There's two of them on the stage with us right now that are actually fighting for freedom, and we need more of that. So I would say the biggest opportunity is build a business that's around this ethos in the next 20 years, and it could pay huge dividends, because it might look good right now with the new administration coming in, very pro-free speech, but that it is not the case in the rest of the world. The rest of the world is strangling free speech. Censorship is rampant in many different countries around the world, and we need more fearless fighters like these two on the stage that are going to help us with their businesses push freedom forward, because without that, we're not going to win. It doesn't come for free, so we need to fight really, really hard for freedom, because it's necessary for the future of everyone.
Gentlemen, it's been amazing observing this and being a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.